Welcome back, everyone, to Parks Racing for Let's Go Racing, and it's time to welcome in a special guest here to the show today, and that's owner David Wright. He is the man behind Waldorf Stables, who has some of the most unique silks on the grounds. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. David, you're a relatively new owner. You've had a lot of success here this summer. Rustler Hustler won a stake here at the track. Your horse Ever Rider won a stake up in New York, was second in the Greenwood Cup here, and if it hadn't been for taking out the Breeders' Cup Marathon, you might have been going.
Might have been. Have had some very good fortune recently. Part of it is planning, part of it is luck, and having a really great team.
Well, let's talk about how you got involved in the sport. I mentioned you're pretty new. You've only been doing this for 3 years, and again, a great deal of success already. How'd you get involved in the game?
Well, I've been going to the races since I was a kid, and have been a fan for many years, and I got to the point a few years ago where I realized I was in a position to actually own horses, start a stable, and see how it went. I knew that Sal DeBunda was president of the Horsemen's Association here, and I knew a partner of Sal's at his law firm, so I asked for an introduction, and Sal was very kind with his time, and you know, got me going, introduced me to the various people that you need to be introduced to get into ownership.
David, one of the key things when you're getting into this is pick a trainer. You have Mariah Montoya. What made you choose her?
Well, some trial and error. I've worked with several traders in my few years, and that's something I'm glad to talk about. It's because the relationship's very important. Yep. But I wanted someone who was a very hard worker, very serious, and who would think of my money as being her money. And she's done a fantastic job. I love her. She's a really excellent horsewoman.
You said you were a player first, you were out here as a fan, now you're an owner. Why do you like the sport so much?
I like it. I like the thrill of it, the fact that it's very uncertain, and I'm a numbers guy. I'm in the investment business. The buyers that you're into, they're about numbers. You can analyze it to the moon and back, but there's that unknown element that's the horse and what's in the horse, and it makes it very exciting so that when it works, it's not just you. You know, the horse was part of it too.
David, you have expressed how much you have enjoyed being an owner here through these past 3 years, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are on the fence. They want to do it, but they just can't get themselves to commit. Where would you send people to go to get information about being an owner for people that think they might want to get involved?
Sure, there's some great resources, and there's been an effort by the industry the last couple of years to make information more accessible. First off, you have the Pennsylvania Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association website, which is for this track, and that website is patha.org. You have to go to the Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association website, TOBA, TOBA.org. Tremendous amount of information there, including sort of a tutorial of what you want to think about if you're going to be an owner. And then there's a recent creation that's a joint venture of the Jockey Club in TOBA called OwnerView, and that's ownerview.com, and information about trainers, jockeys, partnerships. You could read about those things to kind of get your feet on the ground, and if you want to do something, I know you could call the Pennsylvania Thoroughbred Horseman's office, and they'd be glad to introduce you to some people.
Okay, well, speaking of introducing, it's time to introduce your silks. As I mentioned at the top of the show, probably some of the most unique colors on the grounds. You got your silks here behind us. They're not too often that you see a dog on the back of somebody's colors. Tell us where this all came about.
Well, I'll tell you, I named my stable after my dog, Waldorf or Wally. Yeah. And one of the things, if you want to be an owner, is you get to design your own silks. And Sal put me in touch with Jim Walford. He runs Whips, and I said, I want to put my dog on my silks. And it was the best thing that I could have done, because everywhere we go, people see the silks. Little girls say, Mommy, look, it's a dog. And Mariah and I, we took Ever Rider up to Saratoga. We were fortunate to win a race there. And we were getting interviewed by the newspaper afterwards. The reporter said, you know, my editor wants to know, what's the story with the dog? And so every place we go, it's about the dog. And so that's how it happened. And that's one of the little joys of having your own stable. You can design your silks.
Well, what are some of the other, for people out there that want to own horses, tell them about being an owner.
Well, there's a lot to it. You have really two options. One are partnerships, which allow you to go and own a piece of a horse or a piece of a group of horses and somebody else manages it all. You can do it on your own, which is not just buying the horse, which costs whatever amount of money it costs, but also keeping the horse in training. There are a lot of bills to pay, insurance to get, licenses. But I like it because for me it was a new challenge, kind of a second career, and to see if I could do it and have any success. I put a lot of time into it. But I say for anyone considering ownership, you have to think about what are your objectives and what funds do you have to commit to it, because it's not an investment. It's not like buying real estate or a stock or a bond. And so you can't look at it as an investment. You have to look at it as something you want to do versus collecting antique cars, or I guess having a boat, or going around the world on a cruise. But think about what your objectives are and ask as many questions as you feel that you want to ask. Talk to as many people as you can.
Well, David, continued success. Again, you've had a lot of success here recently, and we hope it continues for those tremendous silks of the Waldorf Racing Stables. And folks, David Wright, who is the owner of Waldorf. Well, it's time to head to our national coverage. It's brought to you by Chapman Auto Group. Unless our emblem is on the back of your car or truck, you probably paid too much.